Om Kayena vacha manasyendrayirva bhutyatmanava prakriti swabhava karomi adyat sakalam paresma narayanayethi samarpayami Narayanayethi samarpayami.
Dear Seeker of Truth, welcome. This is a very auspicious moment. We are going to talk about Bhakti. Bhakti, divine love. So we are going to talk about Bhakti as the essence of all spiritual paths, as the soul of all spiritual paths, and also as a path in itself, Bhakti Yoga. So this is a work made by sage Shandilya, the Shandilya Bhakti Sutras. Not much is known about this Shandilya, only that he was a sage, a God-realized being that gone through many other philosophies and finally got to the nectar-like Bhakti as the soul of it all. So sage Shandilya had a very intellectual approach also. He was concerned about getting from the different authorities, the different scriptures, the validity, the importance of Bhakti as a spiritual path. So he gathered that all and shared it. So may you all find divine love in your hearts. May you all be blessed by this auspiciousness. May you all find God. Moving on, Chandilya Bhakti Sutras, Sutra 69, still on the offenses, part 4. So, recommending the practice of the name, the repetition of the name to irreverent and ungodly persons who are not prepared to hear such advice. So, recommending to chant the holy name to those who don't have any faith, who are not prepared for it, it is offensive. It is an offense to the holy name to teach those who have no faith to chant the holy name, to advise those who have no faith or those who do not want to hear about the holy name is an offense to the all-auspicious holy name. So if the holy name is due to be addressed with profound reverence and devotion, advising the holy name to those who are against God, materialistic, that have no faith or little faith, that is offensive also. Emphasis of I and mine and attachment to objects of enjoyment, another offense. If a person hears about the wonderful glory of the holy name but remains attached to material consciousness, perceives everything as I and mine, and feels no love and attachment to hearing about the chanting of the holy name, such person is an offender. So after hearing about the holy name, the sense of I and mine should be relinquished, and holding on to the holy name as much as possible to purify devotion so that love can come out of that. But keeping this consciousness of I and mine and material attachments, it is offensive to the holy name. To revile a particular God or scripture, that is another offense. So instead of respecting that which is very complex, even unthinkable, for the human mind to conceive God's purposes, God's ways, that is offensive. So to revile any God or any scripture, that is an offense also. To associate with non-believers, profligates, sanguinary persons, greedy men, and liars, just to associate with those who don't believe in God, it is an offense. With greedy persons, with liars, just associating with them is offensive. What to say of profligates, sanguinary persons? So those kinds of associations are offenses to the divine name. Divine name is like the cloak of purity, and then you're rubbing that cloak with all those people. That is offensive and detrimental to your spiritual path. Very detrimental. Not only because of the offense, but here is not the subject. To blame God in adversity. So there was a point which was to become an unbeliever. This is different. It's to blame God in adversity. Why has this happened to me? Why have you done this to me? And so and so and so and so. So it's God's fault. So to blame God in adversity. When things go wrong means go against what you think it's right or what you think it should be. That is very offensive. To practice virtue with a sinful motive. So to do all kinds of virtues, but with sinful motives. For example, to get praise, to be important, all of those things, or with other malicious intents in mind. To practice dharma with a doubting mind, that is also offensive. Dharma is the straight line towards God. It is sacred. So all dharma must be with a faithful mind, a surrendered mind. To be slothful in discharging one's spiritual duties. So this is very important. So discharging the spiritual duties, those who are assigned by God or the Guru, one must be quick and full of reverence and dedication and focus. This is the attitude. And understanding that task is sacred. To regard the picture of God as wood, stone, metal, paper, or clay. This is also offensive. So these images, statues, they are God Himself. They are manifestations of God. To treat prasad, which is the food offered to the Lord, as ordinary food. That is also offensive. So there's a little bit of now we are entering the Seva Aparadas, and I think I have mixed it a little bit. The first ones till now were about Nama Paradas, offenses to the divine name. Then there are Seva Paradas, which is in serving God. The Nama Paradas, they are more grave in nature, they are worst. These are also bad, but probably I have mixed it up a little bit. But it's easy to understand knowing the concept, which ones are which ones. So this sacred, holy food, the remnants of God food, is sacred. It sanctifies the devotee, cleanse his sins. So in a way, it is God Himself also, that food, those remnants of food of the food that is offered to God. So treating it like ordinary food they could just eat or choose or wait for a specific moment, this is also offensive. To treat Charanamrita, the water in which the sacred feet of an image of God has been washed, as ordinary water. This is also like the prasad. It is also purifying, removes sins. So it should be treated with respect and not like ordinary water, and that is also an offense. To regard tulasi, the holy basil plant, as an ordinary plant. There's a beautiful story, then if those of you have interest, you can check, where it is mentioned in the story that tulasi is an incarnation of Sri Mata Lakshmi. So it is a sacred plant, should not be treated as an ordinary plant. To regard the cow as an ordinary beast also, the cow is regarded as sacred. It is considered the earth goddess Bhudevi, a manifestation also of Sri Mahalakshmi. To regard the Gita or the Bhagavata as an ordinary books. So these are scriptures, they are the words of God. They are not ordinary in any sense. Should be treated with utmost respect and reverence. I've already explained before how. So this is how you should treat it, like holy. To regard the divine sports, the incarnations of God, as human activities. So this is also offensive, because the stories of God, they are not to be understood. They are understood only by blessing of God himself. They are to be contemplated upon as the manifestation of God, and that leads you to the highest bliss. God's activities in human form are beyond comprehension. Their meaning is only revealed by the Lord himself. It is an offense to consider the Lord's activities as human activities. They are all transcendental in nature. To compare the sports of the Lord with earthly love. There is unsurmountable and impossible beauty to comprehend of these sports. Yes. Beauties that the majority of you are not even close to get close to the beauty that is in those stories. Without the Lord's revelation, what's left is the mind and its impurities to interpret the sports of the Lord. And those sports of the Lord, they are about the Lord and his devotees. What is there for the world to see, for the world to appreciate? It is one aspect, but there's the aspect which is between the Lord and the devotee himself. And that is a different whole level. So another offense is to regard the gopis as other wives in relation to the Lord. I've given the example about the gopis. They were the example of the highest devotees. So treating them just as wives in the literal term, that is offensive. The gopis were reincarnated rishis, sages, that requested Lord Ram in the previous incarnation before Krishna to accept them to be close to him. Lord Ram said that he would accept them in his next avatar as Krishna, since it was not possible in Rama avatar. The Lord gave them births as girls during his avatar as Krishna and allowed them to be in very close association with him in Rasa Leela. These stories are filled with nectar for those who have the heart to receive. To regard the rasa dance of Sri Krishna as an amorous sport. Many are the transcendental joys in that interaction of Krishna and the gopis. Many, many, many. It is beyond comprehension for the majority, for sure. Except for those who have been blessed to live it. For the majority, the joys of these interactions are just limited to amorous sports. And to convey this meaning is ignorance, but also an offense to the divine name. The stories of God, they are to be contemplated upon, to be thankful for, to have reverence for. Everything else is offensive and disrespectful. To discriminate between touchables and untouchables in festivities connected to the Lord. This is more, of course, about Indian culture. Not sure if we have anything similar to this, any example in the West to bring this, but in India, yes, to make this discrimination between devotees. In reality, that is, those who have surrendered to the Lord are equal to the Lord and should not be seen as different and discriminated because of birth and other circumstances. Okay, so here, because of birth and other circumstances, we can apply it here also. But yes, this discrimination is offensive. To judge devotees by external things, like the birth and social status and all these things, to judge them by these, it is offensive also. To comment on the merits or demerits of saints, we talked this previously, now this point is being brought back again. More direct merits and demerits of saints, it is offensive. You are putting yourself in a position why that you are judging these things, it is offensive. To have a high opinion about one's own self. Yes, this is very offensive, detrimental for your spiritual path, for the divine in you, for God Himself. Having a high opinion about yourself is very offensive. To turn one's back on an image of God, it is also offensive. To approach an image of God with shoes on. To regard oneself as a devotee, a pious soul, a learned man, or a virtuous man. It's a spiritual pride. It is also offensive because the real fruits of the real spiritual work is humility. Pride is offensive. To regard oneself as pious, even though oppressing anyone, even if slightly, it is also an offense. To refuse to maintain one's wife, children, family, dependents, the needy, and the holy man. This is for worldly people, except renunciants, of course. Those who have renunciated the world, who has embraced Bhagavat Dharma, they don't have to maintain anyone. They should be focused exclusively on God. But for the others who haven't become renunciants, who haven't dedicated exclusively to God, then to refuse to maintain their, how do you say this in English, their duties, then it is offensive also. So there's a tradition in India where not only the wife, children, family, dependents, the needy also is a responsibility of the household and the holy man, to maintain the holy man. But those who renounce the world and focus only on God, that's their only duty, because that Dharma goes above all other Dharmas. To offer something to God, treating it as enjoyable by oneself, or to enjoy it without offering it to God beforehand. So giving something to God because it is something that I prefer to have, instead of something to please God, or to enjoy it without offering to God beforehand. That is also an offense. And if you watch closely, these offenses come in line with the high level of attention and reverence that we have been talking from the beginning of the videos towards sacredness. The absence of it, most is offensive. Without knowing, it is offensive. Knowingly is offensive. By accident is offensive. But proportions are different. So the one who knows and incurs in offenses, that is the highest of the offense. To swear by the name of one's Ishta Devata, one's chosen name of God. So swear by its name is also an offense. To sell Dharma and the name of God, making spirituality a business, that is also an offense. To expect anything from anyone else than God, it is also an offense. So if you have surrendered to God and you're expecting things from others, that is offensive. You're incurring in offense, and that is hindering your spiritual progress. To violate the injunctions of the Shastras, because they are the words of God, you're going against it, it is an offense. To behave as a knower of Brahman, even though lacking such knowledge. So those who behave like they are transcendental beings, that they are knowers of Brahman, that is an offense. To discriminate between devotees belonging to different sects, so different sects of bhaktas, of devotees, or other spiritual paths, to discriminate between them, it is an offense. To revile particular avatars by discriminating between their respective leelas. They are all God manifestations, same Supreme Being, so it is all the same. To discriminate amongst them, it is an offense. To give the prasad or charanamrita, which is the food offered to God, or the water that washed the feet of an image of God, then to give that to anyone through greed, expecting something in return, a favor or even appreciation or whatever, that is also an offense. To insult a picture, image, or name of God, goes without saying. To oppress, intimidate, or wrong anyone. For the devotee of God, to engage in that behavior is an offense. To renounce faith on losing in a controversy or on one's failure to establish a proposition. So spiritual discussions, which by themselves are ridiculous and unneeded, but in those discussions, if one fails to uphold a point of view and establish the precept of his faith, and because of that loses his faith, that is also an offense. to regard the birth and activities of the various avatars as commonplace. Just mere human lives, this is also offensive, because the stories are also God's manifestations. To regard the pair forms of the deity, such as Sri Radha, Sri Krishna, as distinct and separate, they are the same, they are one and the same. As an overzealous disciple, to act against the spirit of the Guru's behest. So, even if you're an overzealous disciple, but because of that, you're going against the orders of the Guru, imagining that you can understand what he intends by those orders, that is offensive also. Okay.
Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva Tvameva bandhushka sakha Tvameva Tvameva vidya dravinam Tvameva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva